Welcome to Girls Gone Woke, where we inspire you to live a more conscious and joyful life. I'm Monica.
And I'm Claire. We're so grateful to have you here and bring you along on this journey with us.
Let's get started. Good morning, GGW fam. Welcome back. We hope you had an amazing week. And Claire Bear and I are going to talk about being a better listener, not only to others, but also to yourself. I feel like I'm a pretty good listener to others, but I struggle in the listening to myself part sometimes.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth on whether or not I'm a good listener to others, just because sometimes the voice in my head can be so loud. Listening to myself too is a struggle. So that's just why it might be kind of fun to like dig into our own thoughts on this. Mani, why do you think you're not a good listener to yourself, but you are to others?
Because I, like, at my core, before I did all this work on myself and before I became like conscious and self-aware, I was a very big people pleaser. So I would always put other people before me, and also just like the empath in me. Like I really do, because I care about people so much that I am interested in them and like I want to help them. And so I do feel like I'm a good listener, but then I have always, old Monica, put myself on the back burner, and just from like putting other people's needs before my own. But now I feel like I've grown so much in that where I do listen to myself and I try to have a balance with both.
Yeah. Wait, that's such a good, like, an interesting point about like how you are a people pleaser, how that can affect listening. And I've never thought about it like that, but as our GGW fan, if you're a regular around here, we both are, well, not as much anymore. Like we're learning to navigate this, but innately we are people pleasers. So that's so
Mhm.
interesting. I've never thought about it like that. I always thought I was a really good listener because growing up, I was always pretty shy. So I wouldn't talk very much. And I loved sitting in on my mom and her siblings' conversations. Like, I'd prefer to sit with the adults and just like listen to what they would talk about. And so I always thought I was a good listener. But like, one thing, I think I read it online and they were like, learn to like listen to what somebody's telling you rather than instantly react and like say your response right away. And I thought that was a good point because a lot of the times, like when I do that, I'm just trying to relate to that person and I'm not trying to make it about me. But I totally get like sometimes, even when I need to vent or like if I just need to talk to somebody, I don't always need their advice. Sometimes I just need somebody to listen. So that is one way that I've been kind of trying to improve on, like when I listen to somebody else and like their stories. And I think it's a gift. Both Mani and I, we don't mean this in a bad way at all, but a lot of people do like to open up to us. And it might just be like our aura or our energy. People do really like get in depth with me a lot of the times, even if I don't know them well. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oof, that was like an oversharing moment. Like you just met me. But it's also beautiful in that like they feel comfortable enough to talk to me about that and to like talk to us about certain things. So, yeah, that's just I'm trying to improve on not like getting caught up in my own thoughts with what I want to respond with right away. Like I really try and take in what somebody else is saying before I react or respond, if that makes sense.
Totally. I think that's a really great way to even judge yourself to see if you are a good listener is if I think it's natural for you to have like thoughts pop up of what you want to say back,
Mhm.
but can you be aware of that? And then are you somebody that cuts somebody off when they're talking and you just like say what's on your mind right away and you're like constantly interrupting people? Then I would say that means you're not a very good listener. But if you can have those thoughts in your head of your response, but kind of quiet them and just wait until the other person is done talking and actually like listen to the words that they're saying before you
Yeah.
just jump in and say your response, then I think that you are a good listener.
Yes. And for instance, like Mani and I just had a chat and I was like, Monica, I really need your advice. I've been trying to like take cues on when people are opening up with something very personal or a story. Like if they're like, Claire, can you give me advice on something? I might be more apt to share my opinion or to share something that I would do. But if they're just like, hey, can I like talk to you about something? I'm just like really struggling with this and I just need to talk to you, then I'm much more aware now where I don't want to just like throw out a response or throw out advice because sometimes they just need somebody to listen to them.
I think you and I would say we're both great listeners to others. Maybe it has something to do with us being empaths. I'm not sure if there's like a correlation with that, but I do know, at least for myself, is that am also like the same way where I can just listen to somebody and like I understand what they're saying, but then sometimes that gets confused where they think like, wow, she's agreeing with me. Like she has the same opinion. It's like, no, no, no. I didn't actually say my opinion or belief. I'm just like, I understand what you're saying. Like I can empathize with it. It doesn't mean that I have the same opinion. So like
Yes.
that has thrown me in some loops sometimes where somebody will be like talking whatever it is, politics, it could be something that is very opinionated and I
Mm-hmm.
can just like sit and listen
Yeah.
and then they take my listening as me agreeing with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, wait, I didn't
Really?
even say anything.
You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I do think that's like a really great sign of a good listener, Monty. And it's a good sign of somebody who's very intelligent because I think some of the most intelligent people are able to hear things that they don't align with and they don't agree with. And they're able to like think about it rather than react right away, which is really hard to do. Like it's easier said than done,
Yeah.
because we're all opinionated on certain things, whether it's politics or not even politics, just life things. So I think it's like a great sign of intelligence.
I never thought of it that way.
My boo is so
Oh,
smart.
thanks, Claire.
As for myself, I can suppress things very easily, and I'm not as good at tuning into myself and listening to my own advice as I am with others, which is something I'm working on daily. Just like our whole GGW like self journey has really helped me with that, but I wouldn't say I'm great at it,
Yeah.
just being honest.
I mean, all of this is always a work in progress. I definitely think I've gotten so much better at it. For me, listening to myself, I got a lot better at it when I like fully trusted myself.
Mm-hmm.
And before I became like self-aware and all these things, I don't think I really trusted myself. Like I would always look to other people for answers. And it's like, okay, Monica, actually you have the answers. You just need to trust yourself. And when I was able to do that, then I did become a good listener for myself.
Listening to myself, it comes out in different ways where, say, I'm really struggling with something, it can be so internalized for me that I do physical things where I realize, okay, that's like my way of listening to myself. So if I notice that we were just talking about this, I'm binging and eating a lot, like I know internally something is like going on with me. And that's kind of a form of listening. Or for instance, we organize the shit out of our pantry and our closets and under our bed and things that don't even need to be freaking organized. Like that's my sign that I'm probably trying to avoid something or like avoid a feeling. So sometimes it's not always just like the inner voice. Sometimes for me, it takes like seeing myself physically do something that's out of character for me and is a good indicator, like, okay, Claire, maybe tune into what's actually going on in there because it's a little psycho right now.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
I know.
Well, that's why self awareness is so important because once you start doing work on yourselves, you can view yourself kind of from like the outside looking in and be like, oh, okay, Monica's like going crazy trying to organize everything right now, like going through her dresser drawers, like folding things. What is going on? Like, what feels chaotic in her life where she feels the need to like organize her dresser drawers?
Wait, that is funny and so freaking relatable. I have gotten better at it because before I would just binge eat and I'd kind of just like coast and I wouldn't be able to pinpoint like, oh, I couldn't correlate that this weird behavior that I'm doing is actually stemming from something internally that's going on that feels uncomfortable. I would have never been able to correlate that, whereas now I can.
Mhm.
And it's a beautiful way of honoring yourself. And like Monica said, when you trust yourself, you start to grow as a person. You also innately will be able to listen to those cues better.
That is actually a really good point of noticing the physical characteristics or what you're doing outside to be a sign of like you maybe not listening to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, say you have a passion to write a book or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you keep suppressing that and saying, like, oh no, like I can't do that. But then that's something deep rooted that you did not listen to yourself about.
Yeah.
And then you notice yourself binge eating or doing all these external stuff because your inner world feels not in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be just like a good wake up call, I guess, to like just go within and check, be like, oh, okay, maybe I should write that book, or maybe I should go travel nurse, or whatever it is. Like, listen to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're just going to be out of alignment with like what you really want.
Yes. We are so good as human beings at distracting ourselves from issues that we're actually having because we do live in such busy worlds and we have technology 24/7. If we want to distract ourselves, we could literally just pick up our phone and scroll and scroll and scroll. Or we could actually physically remove ourselves and go to work and become a workaholic and just like never come home. And I don't know, there are so many things that we do that's actually very disruptive to be able to listen to ourselves. So I think in Mani, we talk about this a lot, but it's just so important to like sit with yourself in silence sometimes and just like face the facts.
100%. It's so important. And people avoid it because in silence, you hear yourself speak. And like you, if you don't listen to yourself in that moment and you don't follow what your soul actually wants, you feel uncomfortable inside. So then, like, people constantly, like, they go out, drink, they party, whatever. They're always distracting themselves from maybe not being on the right path. I don't know about you, but I can really avoid silence. I know that I need it, but if my life is a little bit chaotic, there's a lot going on, I'm really good at distracting myself. And there's always something on my to do list. Like, I could check everything off and then add another thing like clean the dresser drawers. It's like, oh, our minds just create things to do to like avoid what's actually going on. And
Mm-hmm.
it's actually comical when you like look back on it.
Isn't it comical?
It is. That's like why I'm so happy that we do this work, is because I knew exactly what was going on. Like when I wrote down like, clean apartment, clean the dresser drawers, I knew something was off and I was like, why did I like this was supposed to be my day of not doing anything. Why do I feel the need to organize everything? And that is what's so powerful about being self-aware, is then you can like backtrack and be like, okay, this is why. Like, I'm feeling very chaotic because there's a lot of changes going on in my job situation, whatever. That's why I feel the need to
Mhm.
clean and be organized here. Like, okay, what can I do instead? Like, sit, breathe, meditate, and like trust that everything's unfolding as it should be.
Newsflash, something we are both literally going through right now. Like, change is freaking uncomfortable. Like,
So uncomfortable.
we get it. Like, that was us. Like, I literally just noticed myself eat about 24 cookies in a row. And I was like, in my internal dialogue said, Claire, what are you doing? Like, you know, this isn't good for you. One, you're freaking diabetic. And two, you are just scarfing food down like you're never going to see it again. And it's bad for you. But what do? My hand just kept grabbing another one, chomp, 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 kept grabbing another one, chomp, chomp, chomp. Before I knew it, the pan was gone. So I just have to like, this is like a testament to how powerful these habits can be. So that's why learning to listening to ourselves is just as important as being a good listener to other people around you.
Just as important, and if not more important.
When I'm listening to myself, I find that I naturally choose things that it puts me more in alignment with like what I really want.
Mhm.
which in turn just creates a much more like peaceful environment for myself to be in because things just feel right to me.
Because then you're just a happier person, more fulfilled when you do listen to your soul's wants. You're going to be more in alignment. And just when you're happier, go lucky person, you're just better to everybody that you interact with.
Hmm. And you can listen to others better too because your mind is much more quiet and at peace. And in return, you can give either better advice or you can just sit and be there for somebody and listen in a better way. Yeah, like my example, my psycho example about the 24 cookies, like sometimes like shit happens, but it's just important to like get to the root of the issue.
And also just not to be hard on yourself. Like we all have weird, unhealthy habits, coping mechanisms that we do when we're stressed, but it is a really cool thing to become aware of it. So like even if you can't stop the habit right away, just noticing like, oh, this means something else deeper is going on. It like gives you a sense of peace.
Just with all of our work too, in the past, I would have held on to that icky feeling for so long. I would have been like, Claire, and this is like a little trigger warning for anybody going through like eating stuff, but I'd be like, Claire, why did you let yourself eat that much? Now, tomorrow, don't eat anything for breakfast and go to the gym twice. Like, I would like sit in that feeling for so long, but I know I'm growing because look, like I just ate 24 cookies. I know it's not great, but I did it. And now today, I'm not necessarily like looking at my body in disgust. Like, I'm kind of like accepting it. So,
You have compassion for it because you know
yeah,
like something deeper.
for
Yes.
sure. So, having more understanding really does, more understanding of yourself really
Mhm.
is truly the key, I think, to a lot of problems in the world. Like, if
Yeah,
everybody listened to themselves and really got to the root of the problem, which is our whole GGW mission, we truly, truly believe that the world would be a better place.
100%.
Wow, we got deep,
Yeah,
Monty.
deep. That's what this whole thing is about. We hope you guys got some insights from this or could relate to some of the things that Claire and I are going through and maybe found some peace in just hearing us talk about real life stuff. We'll see you guys next Sunday. We hope you have an amazing week.
Have an amazing week. Bye, Mom.
Bye, Claire.